Was it me?
Yep.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Susfaction.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Isella,
And
and
we're
we're your
your
hosts. Today is part 2 of Catherine the Great. I hope you were waiting with anticipation.
I was. I'm ready.
Okay. I'm going to do a quick review of what we already covered. Catherine was born Sophie in a German-speaking country in Prussia, but not necessarily Germany. She spoke German for most of her life until she came to Russia with her mother. When she came to Russia with her mother, she spent a lot of time learning all about being Russian, while Peter, her match, continued to speak German and put very little effort into becoming Russian. He was the adopted son of the Empress Elizabeth, and he was very immature. He took many mistresses, while Catherine only took one mister.
Sure.
And she did have a secret baby with Orlov. So where I left you, Orlov helped Catherine seize the throne and overthrow her husband, Peter. And she is now Empress of Russia at 33 years old.
Okay.
Like I said, very quick. If you want the full story, you've got to listen to the other episodes. So,
Right.
all
So
right.
go do that if you haven't yet.
Yes, you should stop right now. Go back and listen to part 1 before we move on to part 2, because her motives are so important.
Yeah.
All right, part 2. When Catherine took over the rule of Russia, the country was not in a good state. The treasury was nearly empty from years of war and outrageous spending from the previous czars and empress. Soldiers were rebelling against their officers, and serfs were stealing from their masters. The nobles didn't think she deserved to rule, and foreign observers tried to paint her as just another violent Russian ruler. But unlike the rulers who'd come before her, Catherine took her role very seriously. She would wake up at 6 a.m. and read and write for 2 hours every day. Then she began a day of work, taking a personal interest in everything from the price of grain to the quality of Russia's asylums. Ending her days at 11 p.m., Catherine did many things for Russia, including converting a convent into a school for girls. It was the first of its kind. The girls of Russia were not educated at all before this, unless they were of nobility, and they, even then, were poorly educated. She built hospitals and encouraged the use of modern science to treat patients. She risked her life to be one of the first to try a new method called a vaccination. The vaccination was for smallpox. I did it again. I left my phone ringer on. Okay.
That's a funny one.
She decided she would be the guinea pig, and the nobility watched in anticipation to see if she would get sick from smallpox. What they did is they took some infected tissue from someone who had passed from smallpox, or no, some infected pus from someone who'd passed from smallpox, and they put it under her skin, and they waited to see if she would get sick from it or if her body would produce antibodies.
That's so cool that she was like a pioneer for this.
Yeah, she that story also wasn't in the show, but that's not the one I was hinting towards. But yeah, I thought it was super cool that she was that much in love with her constituency that she would risk her own life that way.
Yeah. Wow.
She founded an art museum called the Hermitage, and she planned a system of laws meant to provide equal treatment to people. She published a guide called The Great Instruction. The Great Instruction called for freedom of speech, freedom of the press. It argued against the death penalty and it insisted that the rich be prevented from oppressing the poor.
Oh, yeah.
This was best demonstrated by how Catherine dealt with Daria Saltykova.
Ooh, who's that?
Daria Saltykova was a Russian noblewoman who is often referred to as Russia's first serial killer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In 1762, she was arrested for the suspicious deaths of over 100 of her serfs. She was widowed at age 25, and her husband left her very wealthy with 2 sons and over 600 serfs. I guess she got tired of feeding them. When she was arrested, it was because 2 of her serfs went to Catherine themselves to report Daria for murdering their wives. She had a habit of killing women and girls as young as 10 years old that she felt jealous of.
Oh my gosh. Okay, evil queen.
The other nobility overlooked her crimes because of her societal status. So these men felt that Catherine was the only person who might give them the justice they so desperately wanted. Now, both of these men had wives that were murdered by Daria, but one of them had 2 wives that was murdered by Daria. So his first wife and then his second wife they were both murdered by Daria Saltykova.
Wow. What is this woman's problem?
He had a bone to pick for sure. Okay. So Daria Saltykova was arrested. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, I already said she was arrested. She was assessed for mental illness at her arrest, which is new, I think. I don't
Yeah.
know that they would have even thought about that back then. So she had her assessed for mental illness for the depraved way that she tortured and killed her victims. She had also shown no remorse, which is probably why they questioned her sanity.
Yeah.
Daria would torture her victims by pouring cold water on them and leaving them outside to freeze to death in the Russian winter, or by boiling them alive.
One extreme to the other.
She would also beat them to death with her bare hands. These are probably the younger girls that she
Yeah.
would beat. She even had her serfs build a bomb to kill a man who did not want to date her. Yeah, jealousy was her biggest motive.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Catherine sentenced Daria to life in prison. She needed to show that the nobles could not just kill their serfs without consequence. She also did not want to lose the little support that she did have from the nobility, and she had just outlawed the death penalty. So, in addition to life in prison, she sentenced Daria to 11 years in pitch darkness while chained inside her cell.
Good.
During those first 11 years, Catherine ruled with Gregory Orlov at her side. All the while, her army and guardsmen hated her because of her relationship with him and blamed Orlov for the ongoing war with the Turks. Finally, after an assassination attempt in 1772, Catherine had had enough and she sent Gregory away.
Aww.
Yeah. So there's another show actually called Catherine the Great that HBO did. And in that show, when she sends Orlov away, it's because she has already made eyes at Potemkin. I will bring Potemkin up though. There's a long time in between her dismissing Orlov and then bringing in Potemkin,
Mm-hmm.
but it makes it seem like, oh, she's just swapping one out for the other in the show.
Right.
So, within a year, there was a man pretending to be Catherine's dead husband, Peter, rallying up the serfs into an army of 10,000 and growing. His name was Emelian Pugachev. Catherine needed help. She summoned Gregory Potemkin to court, and they quickly fell in love. In July of 1774, she made peace with the Ottoman Sultan and ended that war. In September of 1774, the false Peter was tied up and handed over to a local governor. He was to be quartered and decapitated. But she wanted to seem humane, So she ordered him to be decapitated first and then quartered.
Oh, gross.
He was executed in January of 1775. By now, Catherine was in her 50s. It was rumored that Catherine and Potemkin married in secret. But their passion wasn't limited to the bedroom. Many said they argued often. Catherine said it was always about power and never about love. Soon it took its toll, and Catherine had him move out of the palace, and it is said she entertained a parade of young men. But as we know, people like to spread rumors.
Mm-hmm.
At age 57, Catherine had taken more land, starting a second war with the Turks, Potemkin leading these battles. At 58, Sweden also began a war with Russia. Potemkin had built her a navy, but before they could go to war, the ships were destroyed by a storm. In 1790, Potemkin passed away. And when Catherine heard the news, she fainted. In the show, they show her just completely collapse, just with heartbreak, just done. Like everything had been taken from her.
Yeah.
She also shut herself in her room for quite some time. His death weighed on her for the rest of her life. It is speculated that he was her true love. In 1792, Catherine signed a peace treaty with the Turks, ending the war and Catherine's expansion to the south. At age 65, Catherine simplified her appearance to a gray gown and no jewelry. So no more big wig, no more big gowns, no more jewelry, no more makeup. She just would wake up, throw on her gray gown, and go. It did not slow her down. She still rose early and worked hard. She had 7 grandchildren that were her greatest pleasure. She didn't much care for her son Paul, believing him to be unfit to rule, and that his son Alexander would make a fine emperor. She did not feel that she had accomplished what she set out to do, and didn't like to hear her subjects call her Catherine the Great.
Oh.
November 16th, 1796, Catherine had a stroke. Her son Paul reopened his father's tomb and placed her body beside the husband she had detested and the person who Catherine hated most in the world. So Paul does take over, and his reign is shortly lived because his son Alexander does overthrow him.
Oh, good. I was hoping that would happen.
Mm-hmm. And Alexander's son finally is the one to free all the serfs, which was one of her goals.
That's cool.
Yeah. After her death, the Empress of Russia was quickly given the name she had rejected during her life, Catherine the Great. All over the world, people agreed that her life had been remarkable. She had spent years reading Voltaire and Diderot and absorbing the new ideas of the time. She made education available to illiterate people, both boys and girls. She devised a system of laws to apply to people equally. She worked toward freeing the serfs, a dream that was realized 65 years later by her great-grandson. She built dozens of towns, took a census, and mapped provinces. She organized and reformed government. She built orphanages, prisons, and a medical college. And she expanded the empire. If it wasn't for the scandals that arose from both her husband's and later her son's rumors of her love affairs, maybe she would have better embraced her greatness.
Oh, I like that. No, yeah, probably she would have had more confidence in herself if
Yeah.
people weren't against her like that. People that are close to her against her.
Yeah. Time and time again, you see that people close to her are the ones that seem to really take away from her accomplishments.
Yeah.
Her mother didn't like that she was a tomboy, and she had all of any friends she made in Russia taken away from her by the Empress Elizabeth. Her own husband made her dress as a soldier and threatened her life with a dead rat.
It's crazy.
And he made up rumors about her. Then we had a fake Peter.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yes. The thing is he supposedly looked a lot like Peter, remarkably looked a lot like him. And there was some speculation that he might be him just because she never actually saw the body when the Orlovs said that he passed. But also, we know the Orlovs had every reason to make sure that he was dead. So that wasn't an issue. The only thing that they played on in the HBO series that they didn't talk about in any of the research that I did, but it seems like they didn't take the time to go into it, was the son that she had with Orlov. Like, what happened to him?
Yeah.
We don't know. We know Paul ended up, becoming emperor and being overthrown by Alexander, his own son. We know that her daughter that she had with Peter, sort of had with Peter,
Right.
passed away at age 2, but we don't know what happened to her son.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe I just choose to believe that maybe he lived his life in the country with a wife and little ones and was
Yeah.
at peace.
He
You know what I
just
mean?
lived a quiet life,
Yeah.
or maybe he never even knew that he was of noble blood like that.
Yeah. That's true. That could be a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know. Next time I know we're gonna cover. I think we're gonna do something in between this one and Mary Tudor.
Yeah.
I'm not finished writing Mary Tudor. I'm so close, but it also seems like we might want to chop that one in half and make it a 2-parter.
Yeah.
Or it might just be a long episode. We haven't decided.
Right. We'll figure it out. We're kind of just learning as we go.
Mm-hmm. So,
well, thank you guys again for listening. Be sure to come back for another episode.
We post every week on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, trust no one, question everything.
And if you want to send us in stories, we do take those into account. You can reach us at susfactionpod@outlook.com. Again, if you want to send us stories or anything like that, you can reach us at susfactionpod@outlook.com. And we do have an Instagram.
Yep, at susfactionpod on Instagram. I post the teaser every Monday night as to what the episode will be. We have also told you here some of the episodes we plan to do, just not what order we're going to do them.
Right. So keep an eye out for that, and thank you guys for listening.